TikTok, it's time to rock. How's it going, everybody? Who's here? I saw a message earlier, a couple of minutes ago, from Gretch Zeppelin, asking who's here. I'm here. Gretch Zeppelin's here. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just sorting out something here. Good to see you. I'm going to be here going through, as the show card said, a couple of 60-odd pages in the latest Guitar Player magazine. Actually, I don't think it's the latest. There was a new issue that came out. It's got Slash on the cover talking about 8 of his guitars. But the issue that we're talking about today is the April issue that has Jeff Beck on the cover. Gretch Zeppelin, you and me, buddy. Thank you, brother. It's always good to catch up with you. Thank you for supporting our channel. Yeah, I just wanted to do a bit of a shout out to Guitar Player magazine. I've got a few analog copies over the years. Great magazine. Hey, Brody. Good to see you, brother. It's a fantastic magazine. You know, they have segments. They present anniversaries. A couple of years ago, they did a wonderful spread on the Layla album. They did a wonderful 50th anniversary spread on the Get Your Yayas tour album. They do a fine job. And I know that sometimes we like to be a little bit critical of music journalists, especially modern ones. I think we've got to give credit to Guitar Player magazine and their team, because the amount of work that goes into a lot of their articles is remarkable. And like I said, you know, if you haven't seen the latest or the April issue of Guitar Player magazine, the tribute to Jeff Beck, go and check it out. As you would expect with a guitar player and a musician of his stature, a lot of guitar magazines since he passed back in January have covered and done you know, reasonably good celebrations and reviews of his career. In my opinion, it's pretty hard to beat the Guitar Player tribute. So I haven't done this for a long time. I think the last time we went through a magazine was the Rock Professor and I. We did a presentation on Guitarist magazine. They had a wonderful article in there about Eric Clapton's Beano Les Paul and Where Is It? That's somewhere here on the channel if you want to go and check that out. If you're watching on a replay, I might even attach that link. if you're interested in seeing what the Rock Professor and I did on that show. Okay, let me just get this up. There it is. There, present that. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Is that going to present? Is it going to let me present the whole thing? Bear with me. I thought it. Let's see if it goes like that. No. Right, hold on. Hold on. Let's try it that way. See what that does. No. Okay. We'll just battle through it. We'll battle through this. Okay, so you can see now it should be able to allow me to. Right, fantastic. Great. Is that going to work? Full screen layout. Hold on, folks. Hey, Chris. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, brother. Okay, it won't get rid of my frame, my screen. Okay, let's just have a look here. Let me just see if I can do something here. Hold on, folks. Hold on. This is when you need two screens. Trying to fit all this in on a laptop's not going to work. Hey, Jonas, good to see you. You're awake. All right. Well, look, I suppose you can see my frame up there. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get rid of that. And I thought I could. Don't know. I don't want to muck it up because it took me a while to organise. All right, let's go with the tour. All right, so this is the first page of the 60-odd pages. Guitar Player presents a celebration of the Governor's life and music through stories, interviews, recollections from his friends and fellow artists. We're not going to go through and read everything. We're just going to flick through, have a look at some of the photos, read some interesting comments from people. There he is there. Probably one of the most recent pics of Jeff Beck. Signature Strat there. Yeah, Jeff Beck, what a legend. Okay, so first article, Brush with the Blues. From Cliff Gallup to Buddy Guy, the roots of Jeff Beck's guitar journey are planted in the fertile post-war guitar boom. No denying that when you consider all the English guys after the post-war period that came out from the UK and dominated guitar playing. When asked in 2018 why he thought the 60s created so many great blues guitarists, including himself, Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. Jeff Beck had a ready response that reached high, deep and wide. In the quote that begins the article, we were down on our luck until the blues arrived. He replied, and it became natural music for us. We became disciples, and we've heard that before, haven't we? Clapton said it, something similar. Keith Richards has said something similar. We had to discover more. Anyone who ever had the slightest fascination with music had to find out what that sound was and where it came from. Me, Eric, and Jimmy Page were stricken to the soul. We were obsessed. Then he goes on to say, thank God we were. Sand shoes, folded up Levi's. Timeless look, isn't it? All right, let's check this out. Cliff Gallup, and we know who he was. It's with Gene Vincent. Gene Vincent's guitarist of the Blue Caps. Hugely influential band. What's this quote here? I knew then that I wanted to play lead guitar breaks, the fiery stuff like Cliff Gallup. He just didn't want to be a strummer. Hey Greg, thanks for joining us, brother. So again, the article is remarkable in its research, the beginning of Beck's musical journey. That's Jeff Beck, Gene Vincent, Cal Danger, Gretsch guitar. And again, the article plots accurately the guitars that Jeff started with. Rolling Stones. And Buddy Guy. Just look at this photo here of Buddy. Look at the Vox amps. And then obviously the three Yardbirds, Page, Beck, and Clapton. Right, this is the second article. Shape of Things. They had Eric Clapton. They had Jeff Beck. They had Jimmy Page. In the late 60s, no other band could get close to them. And without the Yardbirds, there'd be no Led Zeppelin. Interesting. Interesting point to remember, isn't it? There's another cool quote here I'm going to read out. Paul McCartney likes to explain the sleuth-like methods which he, John Lennon, and George Harrison learned new chords in their Liverpool days. You guys will be familiar with this. You know, they jumped on a bus to go and get someone to show them the B7 chord. In the absence of the internet, and this is a point that we talk about often here on the channel, not to mention guitar magazines and lessons books, they would get wind of another guitarist who had solved the mystery of a particular triad and travelled by bus. Oh, okay, there it is there. Some distance to receive this new key, unlocking yet another dimension of the guitar's fretboard. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Wow. But that's what they had to do. This is Beck, 1967. Looking very serious. Les Paul. Yardbirds. Lots of good information in this article too. Yardbirds with Clapton in the front row. Ready, steady, go. An important British TV program. So this is what they've picked out in this article, Beck's best. Here are 5 choice cuts from his psychedelic era. Heart Full of Soul, Shape of Things. Always like this song. Over, Under, Sideways, Down. Happenings 10 years time ago. and Beck's Boogie. Andy, will there be a guest tonight? Who's the... No, that was a test link, Greg, for a show that we're going to be doing end of the month for a couple of guys. So what I do is I set up a test link on YouTube, and I send that to people that we're planning to do a show with, because that link will give them the time and the date in their time zone for any planned show that we do. I find that's the easiest way, and then we can negotiate from that link. So, for example, okay, if it's a Saturday or a Sunday and it's 1 o'clock for me, it's going to be a 9 o'clock Friday night for somebody in America. Yep, that's fine. Then we negotiate the date. Yeah, so it's a good way. I've got Brad to thank for pointing that method out for us to organise shows. The next show on the channel is tomorrow, Ranking the Tracks, August, Eric Clapton's album, the album before Journeyman. So that'll be an interesting show. Interesting album. Be good if you guys can join us. Let's flick the page. What's the quote here? I didn't like them when I first met them. They didn't say hi or anything. This is Beck talking about the Cats and the Yardbirds. You know, because they had a reputation. And that's the manager. Of the Yardbirds. Let's have a look and see what this box is. Guitar player. That's the early issue of Guitar Player. Wow. From 68. Beck is back. In this excerpt from his interview with Guitar Player in 68, Beck illuminates his time in the Yardbirds and his plans for the future. Go and check that out, folks. What's the comments here? Just when I think Andrew's heart can't be any bigger, he pulls out a heartfelt tribute like this. Oh, thanks, Brody. It's it's just what we want to do here on the channel. We just want to talk about some great stuff that we find that's out there. People may not be aware of, Guitar Player's wonderful tribute to Jeff Beck, and that's all we're doing here on the channel. I knew I would do that. I'm going to have to go back and find. Let me just pull that out. Let's go back and find that. There it is. We'll put it back now. Beck Page Moon and the birth of Led Zeppelin. Again, a very interesting article. They get it right. Johnny Black is the author of this article. Some good quotes. Well done, Guitar Player. I'm going to tell you guys, I think the guitar magazines are offering the best as far as journalistic integrity, journalistic skills, research, and nailing the truth down than a lot of other publications talking about this type of music that we like. The guitar magazines, are leading the charge, in my opinion. Keith Moon, and we all know why he's important in that whole Led Zeppelin story. I'm not going to tell you why. You guys should know that. And John Paul Jones. Before he joined, and who's this? Nicky Hopkins. Very interesting person. Key ingredient to the Stones and their sound. Let's flick through some more photos, folks. Simon Napier Bell, 4 days before the session. And what have we got here? Chris Stamp with Who's co-manager Kit Lambert. I just finished watching a couple of days ago a Who documentary. It's interesting they're talking about the Who's management. They were taking 40% of everything that the Who were making. Wow. Group therapy. The Jeff Beck Group, 68. And this article talks about Mickey Most as a producer and his role with Jeff Beck after he split from the Yardbirds. Rod Stewart, he was in the country in New Zealand last week. Beck Bogart a piece. This pick is taken at Crystal Palace in 73. Super group. Yeah, this is an interesting little segment too to read. Lover's Leap. How Stevie Wonder's apology led to one of Jeff Beck's signature tunes. Go and check that one out. Now this is great. This is another outstanding article here by Steve Rosen. We know who Steve Rosen is. We've had Steve Rosen on the channel talking about his Eddie Van Halen book, The Whole Truth, how Jeff Beck recorded a blues and heavy rock classic and its direct influence on Led Zeppelin. Jeff Beck Group, Ainsley Dunbar on drums, Ronnie Wood, Rod Stewart, and there's Beck there. No, I don't know, Giannis. I don't know the answer to that question, brother. Sorry. And again, what's really, really great about this article is that they are talking about Hi-Ho Silver Lining. And how important that song was in the context of Jeff Beck's career. Certainly, from a financial point of view, giving him some kind of foundation. Even from that point of view, it's important. An important song. Another great pick there of Beck. Playing straight. Hey Nelson, good to see you, brother. George Martin, in his work with the Mahavishnu Orchestra, led Beck to tap him for Blow by Blow. And ladies and gentlemen, we've ranked that album on the channel. We've also ranked Truth by the Jeff Beck Group as well. If you want to go and check those out, see what you think. See whether we got the rankings for the tracks right. Another cool pick. It's the Gunslinger from Aerosmith. Joe Perry. Emotional Rescue by Chris Gill. And ladies and gentlemen, we've been fortunate to have Chris Gill on our channel a couple of times too. So we have to do a shout out to Chris. This is a quote he gave in 92. I'm an awkward son of a bitch when it comes to doing the expected. Beck again. Looking cool. Another great quote. Fantastic article. Jeff Beck's Guitar Shop. We've ranked that album on the channel too, ladies and gentlemen. So you can check that one out too if you're interested. Rest in peace, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jeff Beck. With their Strats. Cool pick. There's Beck posing with Terry and Tony in 2000. The signature straight. Jennifer Batten in 2005, playing with Beck. What's this pick here? And these are the cover pages that guitar player had over the years. Just an interesting observation. Beck hasn't changed much, has he, over the years? You know, he kind of kept the same hairstyle, the same kind of fashion, as opposed to Clapton, who changed his hairstyle, you know, weekly. And here's some snips from a famous Steve Rosen interview back in '73. Shout out to Steve Rosen. He set the benchmark for journalists, writers, interviewing guitar players and musicians. We've mentioned his interview with Jimmy Page being a benchmark. Well, he certainly continued it with Beck and on. I have a Guitar World here with Beck on the cover, 2019. Yeah. Again, some more snips from a 75 and an 80 article. '85, Beck on Beck. The Stevie Ray Vaughan article from 1990. Just a wonderful tribute. Wonderful magazine that Guitar Player have done as a celebration to Beck's life. 2000. Another piece here, Chris Gill when he was assistant editor with Guitar Player back in '93. And again, Chris Gill, outstanding interviewer. He knew the questions to ask guitar players as well. Why? Because Chris is a guitar player and a music fan, so he knows what to ask. Again, some more background from previous issues. And then we get an article here, Beck and Page. As teenagers, they jammed and traded licks. As young men, they changed the sound of rock and roll. In 1999, Beck and Page sat down to riff about their history together and apart for a rare reunion of two rock guitar giants. Wonder what the joke was. Beck, Page and Plant in '83. Fantastic. Look at that. Absolute giants. So this is an interesting pick. This is Page and Beck. Ready, Steady, Go. Famous English TV program back in 1966. And Jimmy Page playing bass, ladies and gentlemen. So this is their Novello Award for Outstanding Contribution to British Music back in 2014. So if we flick over, you'll see standing next to Beck is Jimmy. And Jimmy's stop sign is here. Another great article. The Silver Fox. Jimmy Page. Ronnie Wood. Phenomenal. What talent. And here's Beck getting his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award. Look at that smile. It meant something to him. I'm going to just check Andrew, my man. Hey, Johnny Heartbreaker, good to see you, brother. Hey, Fruitcake Tony. Yeah, we're just flicking through guitar players, wonderful tribute they did back in April. Well, back in April, it is April. In the April edition of Guitar Player. It's phenomenal. Guitar Player just do some great stuff. In my opinion, they're head and shoulders above Guitar World as a publication these days. It's 63 pages of Beck stuff. And that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame clearly means something to these guys, doesn't it? You can't fake that. You can't fake those smiles. You know, the fact that they're looking back 40 years later at the contribution that they've left and continued, obviously, up until 2009, they were still giving. It's just phenomenal. And then they've got some pages here of Beck in his own words. Brian May called him the governor. Fellow Yardbird Chris Strager called him a fucking genius. And he's been enlisted by everybody from Mick Jagger to Stevie Wonder. In 2008, Beck talked us through his favourite moments from a career that's included stints with the Yardbirds, with the Jeff Beck Group, and a series of solo albums that redefined what the guitar can do. And then he obviously talks about some songs. Looking cool there. With the Telecaster. I'm going to tell you something. When I imagine in my mind Jeff Beck, I imagine him with a Stratocaster and a Les Paul. Images of him coming to my mind with a Telecaster, yeah, it doesn't happen. But we know there was a period there where he was in the 80s, a Telecaster man. So he's given you some opinions there on some tracks. I feel that I'm kind of underrated. That's what he's on record saying. Great article too. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to spoil. Jeff Beck with Mick Jagger in '87. Mick Jagger saying Beck wanted to do things his way. Yeah, that's Jeff Beck. Harvey Goldsmith. That's why this article is important, because it's the one that gets Jeff Beck playing. And then we've got the All-Star Salute from Sir Brian May. Another phenomenal guitar player. Here's a couple of quotes here. Jimmy Page. The six-string warrior is no longer here for us to admire. The spell he could weave around our mortal emotions. Jeff could channel music from the ethereal. His technique unique, his imagination apparently limitless. Jeff, I will miss you, along with your millions of fans. Jeff Beck, rest in peace. Yeah. What does Rod say? Jeff was on another planet. He took me and Ronnie to the USA in the late 60s in the Jeff Beck group, and we haven't looked back since. He was one of the few guitarists that when playing live would actually listen to me sing and respond. Then he goes on to say, thank you for everything. Ronnie Wood, I feel like one of my... I'll start again, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like one of my band of brothers has left this world. I want to thank him for all our early days together in the Jeff Beck group, conquering America. And there's Jack White's tribute. He was changing the sound of the guitar and doing things people didn't know were possible from his earliest days on stage. What's Tale saying? We've lost our favourite guitarist and one of the most intelligent, intuitive and hilarious people I've ever met. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a flick through Guitar Players April 23 tribute to Jeff Beck. I don't know about you guys, but it's getting very, very difficult to get hold of magazines these days. The magazine store that I used to get my magazines from closed down about 2 years ago. Then I managed to find another store that stocked them. They've closed down. We're lucky because we can get a lot of these magazines digitally on our iPads, which is great. But you like to have, if you're an old guy, you like to have the analog version, don't you? I think the only way that I'm going to safeguard subscriptions to Guitar Player is to actually take out a yearly subscription and get them to ship it. But well done, Guitar Player magazine. Well done. I might jump on next month and go through a couple of other magazines that have done tributes to Beck. Won't go through all of them. Might just talk about a couple of interesting points that they make reference to. But go and check it out. If you're a Beck fan, go and check out the wonderful work that they've done in celebrating Beck's life. If you're watching on a replay, I'll attach for you some links on a couple of videos on all the Beck albums we've ranked, and also a couple of tribute shows that we did in January together to celebrate the life of Jeff Beck. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be back here tomorrow with the Rock Professor and Brad. We're going to be ranking Clapton's August album. It's an interesting album. It's not my favourite album. I'll go on record and tell you that. But one of the reasons why I've picked that album is because we want to present a timeline for you and for ourselves. 24 Nights, the definitive release, is coming out in a couple of months' time. We've already done a couple of shows on that. We've ranked 24 Nights with Michael. Michael, also a very good friend of the channel. So what we decided to do, and we've ranked Journeyman on the channel as well. But it became apparent to me when I had Michael on last week when we were talking about some of the background behind 24 Nights. It became apparent to us when we were having that live conversation how August was an important album leading up to Journeyman, which gave us that whole era, that early 90s era of Clapton. So it'll be interesting for us to talk about that album. And if you want to join us live, let us know what you think. I've spent the week listening to that album. It's a great album. It's not my favourite Clapton album, but in the scheme of things, as a starting point for that great 90s era, it'll be interesting. Be an interesting conversation to have. Hey, Tim, good to see you, brother. Thank you for hanging out with us. Been here for an hour. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you're going to be watching us on replay, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and go to our channels page. On our channels page, you'll see all our friends who are related to us and what we do here on this channel. Go and subscribe to their channels, please, and let them know that we sent you. If you want to ever come on the channel and be a guest host with us to rank an album, let me know. Let the Rock Professor know. Let Brad know. We're always keen to get people that are in the chat with us. If you ever want to come on, we're always keen to get people on. So I don't do this often, but I'm going to do the end shout out. The Rock Professor normally does this. Tim, thank you, brother. Gretch Zeppelin, always a pleasure. Thank you for supporting us. Johnny Heartbreaker, again, thank you for your support. It means a lot to us. Thank you for becoming channel members. It helps run things here with the StreamYard subscription. Your contributions help there. Brody, thank you, brother. Fruitcake Tony, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you. Nelson, another great friend of the channel, been with us right from the word go. Thank you, brother. Greg Roberts tune, awesome. Good job, Andrew. Unsure if it's necessary. Oh, well, we just get together and we just like to share things. Jonas. Thank you for your support too. Another good friend of the channel here, Christopher Live Sour. Good to see you, bro. Always love catching up with Chris. Great friends with him on Facebook. Oh, I think we've got everybody. Let me know what you think about the article if you download it. Let me know if you want us to go through and talk about some other tributes that other magazines have done in reply to, in tribute to Beck passing. All right, folks, we're out of here. I'm going to play the end video. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks for everything.